Megillah Daf Yudalid, how's everybody doing? The Gemara gives us a mashal. Achashverosh is like somebody that has a field that has a mound. Haman is like somebody that has a field that has a hole, and they're both next to each other. This one wants to get rid of his mound, this one wants to get rid of the hole. Achashverosh and Haman both wanted to get rid of the Jews, therefore Achashverosh told Haman, take your money, get rid of the Jews without money. Once Achashverosh took off his signet, his ring, that caused Klal Yisrael to do tshuva more than the Nevios of 48 Nevi'im and 7 Nevi'os. All the Nevi'im together were only mechadish one mitzvah, and that is the mitzvah of Megillah. Chanukah doesn't count, because Chanukah, there was no Nevi'im. Everything else the Nevi'im said, Gzeiros, Gdarim, that's not a mitzvah. And we say the Megillah because of Kavachomer. When Klal Yisrael went out of Mitzrayim, they said Shira, so too by Purim, where they saved their physical lives. Why don't we say Hallel? Because once Klal Yisrael went into Eretz Yisrael, you don't say Hallel on an ace that happened somewhere else. But once they left Eretz Yisrael, saying the Megillah, according to Rav Nachman, is like saying Hallel. Or, according to Rava, you can't say Hallel because they're still under Achashverosh. They don't have a real Geula. In fact, the Gemara tells us there were 1.2 million Nevi'im. However, only 48 of the Nevi'im's Nevuah was written down because that's a Nevuah that's needed for future generations. The Klal Yisrael should do tshuva or halacha. It says in the pasuk in Navi, Har Masayim Tzoifim Elkanah came from Har Masayim. In other words, he was one Navi from 200. Or he came from a place that you could see from one mountain to the other. Or he's the descendant of Korach. The children of Korach, the sons of Korach, after they did tshuva at the last moment, they were saved. They stood B'rum Shalaylam. Now, who are the Nevi'os? We have Sari Meinu, her name is Yiska. She saw Baruch HaKodesh, or people looked at her beauty. Miriam Esther, as the Torah says, she was Achos Aaron, the sister of Aaron. In other words, before Moshe Rabbeinu was born, she had a nevuah that she's going to have a brother that's going to save Klal Yisrael. And she stood from the distance, Meirachik Ledeya. She wanted to see, is a nevuah going to happen, even though she put Moshe in denial. Devora Neviah, she was the wife of Lapidos. She made wicks for Mishkan Shiloi, and through that, she was zechus from that small act. She was zechus to have a nevuah. And she sat under Tamar, under a palm tree, just like a palm tree doesn't have branches, it has one straight bark. Klal Yisrael is one. Chana had a nevuah, and she said, Ramo Karni, that David and Shleima, who were anointed from a horn, their meluch is going to last. Long, Shol and Yehu were anointed from a flask, it's not going to last. Baloischa, levalisecha. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's not like a regular artisan who creates art and his art outlives the artist. HaKadosh Baruch Hu outlives all his art. As the pasuk says, Ein tzur kelikenu. There's no tzayir, there's no artist like Hashem. Hashem puts life within life. Avigail, what happened was she wanted to save her husband Naval, so she went and she asked David, she says, this dam is a tamei tar, and he says, you don't paskin at night. She said, if so, don't paskin about my husband. Don't say that he's chayiv misa, even though he's moed b'malchus. And he said, you're right, you saved me from 2 bloods. And she told David HaMelech, Zois lefuka, you saved yourself this time from a stumbling block, but another time you're not. In other words, she had a nevuah that he's going to be nishal with Basheva. V'zachartes hamosecha, she tells him, after my husband dies, Naval dies, I want you to remember me and marry me. Gemara says, women, as they do their needle point, they could talk, they could do 2 things. In other words, she was thinking about something else, or as a duck puts his head down, but he sees to the distance, she saw that she's going to marry him. Chulda Neviah, even though there's Yirmiyah Navi, she was able to give a nevuah because she was related to him. And the reason why they gave her the nevuah and not to Yirmiyah, because another reason is Nashim Rachmaniyos. Because if the nevuah would come out not very good, she'd be able to daven. It's possible that Yirmiyah wasn't even there. He was out of the country. He went to bring back the Aseres HaShvatim. You see that there was Yovel, and in order for Yovel to exist, you have to have all the Shvatim. When women have power and they have Gaiva, it's not very good. You see Devora called Barak to her. Esther, but Tilbash Malchus, she was an Aviyah, she put on Ruach HaKodesh. Rachav, The Gemara tells us became a Geyores and she married Yeshua ben Nun, but Yeshua ben Nun only had daughters, and from those daughters they had 8 Nevi'im who were Kohanim: Baruch ben Neriah, Sroya ben Machasya, Yirmiyah, Chilkiah, and Chanamel ben Shalom, that his name and his father's name, if you have the two names, they're both Nevi'im. You should know that when the Navi says the name of a father, both of them are Nevi'im. And Rabbi Yehuda adds, Chulda, have a wonderful day.